Captain Snap and the Children of Vinegar Lane by Roni Schotter. Illustrations by Marcia Sewell. To Jessie and Rich, R.S. To Stephanie, my godchild, M.S. Nobody liked to go to the end of Vinegar Lane. Captain Snap lived there, and everyone was afraid of him. He was thin and mean and bent and bitter. His skin was as cracked and as dry as a slice of stale bread. People said Captain Snap lived like a rat under a pile of old junk. Otto Phelps said his roof was only a piece of rusty tin. His walls were rotten bits of board nailed together. Panina Boyle said his chimney was nothing but a crooked stack of hollowed-out tin cans. Once in a while, on days when they felt especially twitchy and wiggly, the children of Vinegar Lane would pinch each other and run up the street to spy on Captain Snap. The bravest of the group was also the littlest. Her name was Emily Ann Crocker, but everyone called her Sody. "Go ahead, Sody. Say something," the big kids would whisper, but little Sody would pop her head out from behind the grill of a rusty radiator and yell, Come out, Captain Snap!" And Captain Snap would come bumping, knocking, and crashing out of his house, scattering boxes and boards and bits of broken bottles in front of him. "How you doing today, Captain Snap?" Sody would ask, her hands on her knees to keep them from knocking. And no matter what the day, no matter what the hour, Captain Snap always did the same odd thing. He'd stamp his foot, snap his fingers, and pull his lip out so far that when he let go of it, it snapped back against his face with a plap, like the sound of rainwater hitting an empty bucket. And Sody would grab Mo, and Mo would grab Myrna, and Myrna would grab Maxie, and Maxie would grab Curly Jess, and Curly Jess wouldn't grab anyone at all. He'd just bolt down Vinegar Lane with Mo and Myrna and Maxie and Sody racing and stumbling and tripping to keep up with him. "Weren't scared at all, were you?" Curly Jess would say when they were safely at the end of Vinegar Lane. "Not a bit," the others would answer, all except Sody, who'd squint up her eyes till they looked like tiny brown raisins and gaze at the sky like she was thinking big thoughts. One gray day, when the killing frost had just come and turned the leaves on Vinegar Lane to mahogany and gold, the children of Vinegar Lane pinched each other, put on their mittens, and ran off once again to spy on Captain Snap. Come out, Captain Snap," Sody called from behind a broken washing machine. But this time no one came. "Call him again," Curly Jess whispered. "Louder!" "Hey, Captain Snap, you in there?" Sody yelled. Still no answer, only a sound like quiet sighing. Was it the wind? "Where do you think he is?" Maxie asked. Sody squinted up her eyes and gazed at the sky. "Inside," she announced with certainty. "Follow me." And Sody advanced toward Captain Snap's house with Myrna, Mo, and Maxie following behind her, and Curly Jess bringing up the rear. At the side of the house was a filthy window made from a porthole of an old ship. Sody wiped the dirt away from the sleeve of her jacket and peered inside. "Look," she whispered, and everyone crowded close. Through the grimy glass, they could see a room full of junk and Captain Snap lying there, like a pat of melted butter, droopy and yellow on a stack of old brown mattresses. "He's dead," Myrna whispered, shaking her head slowly. "No way," Sody said. "Look at his breath." Sure enough, a small puff of steamy gray smoke hung in the cold air just above Captain Snap's mouth. "He's alive," Curly Jess announced. "But sick, real sick, and freezing," Mo added. "Look at his legs. They got bumps on them like a raw chicken." "No choice," Curly Jess said. "We gotta help." Everyone nodded and turned to Sody. "No choice," she said. "Come on." And late that afternoon, While a passing squall spit the first layer of snow dust on Vinegar Lane, the children of Vinegar Lane loaded Sodie's red wagon with blankets and a pot of Sodie's mother's homemade stew and took turns pulling it up Vinegar Lane to Captain Snap's house. "Follow me," Sodie said when they got there. She lifted the heavy stew pot and took many tiny, quick steps toward Captain Snap's door. Behind her, Mo, Myrna, and Maxie tiptoed, each carrying a blanket, with Curly Jess hugging a red one and moving steadily in the opposite direction. "I'll be the lookout," Curly Jess chattered. I'll watch from the window." Sodie set the stew pot down in front of Captain Snap's door. Tap, tap, she knocked, but no one answered. Rap, rap, she knocked again, louder. "Captain Snap," she called out. Crash! Something fell inside. "Look out!" Curly Jess cried. "Watch it! Here he comes!" And from the other side of the door they heard Captain Snap's sick voice creaking like the hinge on a rusty gate. "Go away! Scat! Be gone with you!" The children of Vinegar Lane didn't wait to hear more. They just dropped their blankets and tore down Vinegar Lane with Curly Jess back in the lead. Only Sodie paused to look back, so only she saw two bony hands lift the stew pot into the dark interior of Captain Snap's house. "It'll be a cold day in July before I go back there," Myrna swore. "Same here," everyone agreed. But 1 week later, when the sky was as blue as a flower, they were back again once again at Captain Snap's window. "He's gone," Curly Jess shouted. "This time I bet he really is Sodie didn't stop to listen. She ran to Captain Snap's door with the big kids at her heels and was just lifting her fist to knock when, all on its own, the door swung open. "What do we do now?" Curly Jess asked. "We go in," Sodie announced. She took an extra gulp of air and grabbed Mo and the others. All together they pushed and squeezed their way through Captain Snap's door. And then something fluttered, someone muttered, something rumbled, something tumbled, and from high up in the ceiling a long metal arm made of junk from Captain Snap's yard clanked and clattered and reached down, holding a sign in its clamp-like hand. In big black letters it said, "Ahoy!" The children of Vinegar Lane dared to look around the room, and everywhere they looked they saw things that were really other things. A giraffe with a long neck that was really a broken umbrella turned inside out. The skeleton of a small dinosaur that was really chicken bones strung together. A carousel made from an old record player and a circle of cardboard. A flower that was really buttons and wire. And most amazing of all, the machine made from the parts of other machines that had opened the door and shown them the sign. And then, stepping out from behind the open door, Captain Snap appeared, pale as paper, wrapped in one of their blankets. The children of Vinegar Lane looked at Captain Snap, and Captain Snap looked at them. For a long time no one said a word. Then Captain Snap removed his hand from under the blanket and pulled his lip out so far that when he let go of it, it snapped back against his face with a plap. "Thanks," he said softly. The word sounded squashed and new, as if he'd never said it out loud before. And sad to tell, the children of Vinegar Lane forgot their manners. They didn't say "you're welcome" or "it was nothing" or even They just stood there, their eyes growing wider and wider as they continued to gaze around the room. "Did you make all of this?" Curly Jess asked. Captain Snap nodded and lay aside his blanket. "Long ago," he mumbled, "I sailed 6 of the 7 seas. The days were long and the nights even longer. While the others sang songs and longed for land, I turned bits of scrap into sailor's fancy." He pulled a hanger, some string, an old rag, and some antenna wire out of a big pile of junk near his feet. With fast-flying fingers he yanked and twisted, hammered and pulled, and before very long he had made a tiny puppet that could dance on a string. "For you," he said simply, and handed the puppet to Jess. "Thanks," Curly Jess said, so surprised that he remembered his manners. Captain Snap said nothing. He just winked and muttered and sat down again by his junk pile. The sky had turned purple and the moon had begun to rise when Captain Snap finished his work and gave Sody, Myrna, Maxie, and Mo each a special gift. Out of nothing much he had made all manner of magic. And from that day forth, Captain Snap became known as Captain Scrap, the artist of Vinegar Lane. And every day the children of Vinegar Lane, and even their parents, listened to his salty stories, helped him work, and became his very good friends. And if ever you're in the neighborhood, be sure to climb the hill and stop at the home of the famous artist Captain Scrap, for there you will see something very special. The end. Captain Snap and the Children of Vinegar Lane by Roni Schotter and Sewell. Illustrated by Sewell.